Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Hindu Wellness Series. Today's seminar on Ayurveda for Building Immunity is presented by Vaidya Ratnam P.S. Varias Arya Vaidyasala, Kottakkal, Kerala. I am Serena Josephine, Special Correspondent The Hindu, and I will be the moderator for this panel discussion. In the current health scenario, one of the words that we get to hear very often is immunity. The need to take preventive measures and improve one's immunity to protect from diseases is widely spoken about in the present day. We have many people looking up to Ayurveda to build their immunity. That said, we have a panel of experts on Ayurveda who will be elaborating on the role of Ayurveda in enhancing the body's immunity. Let me start by introducing the panelists. We have Dr. P. M. Madhu, Assistant Professor, Department of Roga Nidhanam, Government Ayurveda College. He has published a number of books and more than 30 scientific papers in various national and international seminars, including World Ayurveda Congress. Welcome, sir. Next,
Thank you.
we have Dr. Nishant Narayan, who has been associated with Arya Vaidyasala since 2002. He is presently Senior Physician at the Ayurvedic Hospital and Research Center, Arya Vaidyasala. He brings his experience from working in different departments of Arya Vaidyasala in the capacity of branch physician. We have Dr. Vinod R. Warrier, Associate Professor, Department of Kaya Chikitsa, Vaidya Ratnam P.S. Variar Ayurveda College. He has published a number of articles and was member of the Technical Advisory Group on Ayurveda, Pain and Palliative, National Rural Health Mission, Government of Kerala. I now invite Dr. P. M. Madhu to address the audience.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, let me convey my sincere gratitude to the organizers, Kottakkal Ayurvedashala and Hindu Daily, for giving me such an opportunity to share some of views regarding Ayurveda in building immunity. As all of you know, the world is under the threat of a devastating pandemic, that is COVID-19. At the outset, let me convey sincere gratitude to the organizers, hello, Ayurvedashala and Hindu Daily, for giving me such an opportunity. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As all of you know, the world is under the threat of a dreaded disease called COVID-19, and we are searching for newer and newer methods to escape from the disease. So, from the methods of vaccination to the methods of ventilation, so many active protocols are evolving from the different world parts of our world. So, newer and newer methods to conquer this disease, there are so many attempts to evolve. So you see, the clinical presentation of the COVID-19 is not the same in different parts of the world or different populations. So there are some from the stages of severe stages, the disease is not very severe in some cases. In positive cases also, very mild symptoms or no symptoms at all seeing in many cases. So among the physicians or among eminent scientists, there are differences of opinion regarding the general protocol to be adopted in conquering this condition. So they are seeking for various methods from other streams of medicine also. So it is our responsibility to share the Indian medical thoughts, the Ayurveda thoughts, to conquer this condition. We have to educate the people to implement the measures of Ayurveda into the community to conquer this particular condition. So while we are speaking about communicable diseases, in all the communicable diseases, we can see there are three factors involved in that. Where the main and one thing is pathogenic organism, the disease-causing agents. Other side, there will be a susceptible host. In between them, there is an environment that is transmitting the pathogenic agent to the host. So this is relevant in every communicable diseases. For example, in dengue fever, we can see the dengue causing virus is the agent, and we are the susceptible host. In between them, we can see a vehicle or environment that is transmitting the disease causing the dengue virus to the host, that is mosquito. So, in order to intervene any communicable diseases, we have to address these three factors. That is pathogenic organism and the susceptible host and the environment. In the case of coronavirus, as you know, there is no clinically proved medicine to destroy this coronavirus. So we are adopting, or we are instructing people to adopt so many measures to resist the entry of the agent to the host. We are following the methods of this hand sanitization, face mask, and social distancing to resist the entry of the organism to the host. Complete lockdown is another method, but we cannot continue this complete lockdown forever. We have to re-enter into our daily life activities, and we have to continue our life. So we have to empower the host mechanism to resist the pathogenic organisms. This type of resistance is called immunity in terms of medical science. This immunity we can broadly divide into two, that is acute immunity and innate immunity. Acute immunity is the system that learns to remember the organism involved in disease. So this is mainly done by certain organs or cells in our body. For example, thymus cells, spleen, lymph node, this bone marrow, etc. are having the power. So an external organism, while entering to our body, these mechanisms will secrete certain antibodies, very specific antibodies against these external agents, and that lead to proliferation of certain white blood cells also. So these are having the capacity to attack these external substances and to destroy them. So once these antibodies are stimulated by an organism, then our body is adapting to remember this particular organism, and in further course, while the external substance or external organism tries to enter our body, this will remember this organism, and the antibodies will be very effective to resist the organism, and that will destroy very quickly. So this is called the naturally acquired or adaptive immunity in our body. Other type is the artificial immunity. The same type of antibody will be injected to our body, that is through vaccination, and through vaccination this artificial immunity is adopted, acquired in our body. The other type, the second type, is called innate immunity. That is the baseline or first line resisting system in our body, that is acquired through so many methods. For example, our skin is having the capacity to resist the pathogenic organisms. Our mucosa contains certain secretions that can trap the organisms. Our stomach is containing so many acidic secretions that can also destroy these type of organisms. And immune system cells are also there. Natural killer cells are there. Phagocytes are there. Eosinophils are there. These organisms, these immune system cells will be attacking the organisms, the external organisms, and that will be destroyed by this immune system. So this is consciously this is the immune system. In Ayurvedic perspective, you see, we can explain the concept of immunity in Ayurvedic perspective through the technical term called Vyadhi Kshamatva. Vyadhi Kshamatva means Vyadhi means disease and Kshamatva means resistance. This is the resistance against Vyadhi or disease. So Vyadhi Kshamatva is the capacity of our body to fight against the disease already occurred or the capacity of our body to resist against the organism that is trying to enter our body. So this can be achieved. This cannot be achieved through one or two medicines or one or two treatments described in Ayurveda. As far as Ayurveda is concerned, this is the bala, sharira bala of the body that can be attained through certain methods. Sahaja bala is there, Kalaja bala is there, Yuktija bala is there. Sahaja bala is the congenitally acquired immunity, and the Kalaja bala, that is the acquired through the time, and the Yuktija bala, that we can modify ourselves and we can adopt the Yuktija bala by certain methods. You see, these are the contributing factors of a Vyadhikshamatva, place of birth. Where the person is born, if that place is naturally very effective for Vyadhikshamatva, the person will be having excellent Vyadhikshamatva. The time of birth, if the person is born in a particular time or time of period when naturally the Vyadhikshamatva is there, he will be having excellent Vyadhikshamatva. Hereditary factor also very relevant. For example, in the case of if the father or mother are having excellent Vyadhikshamatva, the person also will have, the kid also will have excellent Vyadhikshamatva. See, the balanced food is a contributing factor. Physical exercises are contributing. Mental excellence is another contributing factor. And the Rasayana drugs described in Ayurveda, they are also can contribute towards the Vyadhikshamatva of a person. So, see, the first three contributing factors are non-modifiable factors. We cannot intervene and we cannot modify these factors by ourselves. But the other factors, these factors are modifiable factors, like wholesome food items, proper exercises, for proper mental calmness of our body, or through medicines. These are modifiable factors. By enriching the property of these factors in our life, we can make our Vyadhikshamatva more excellent. So see, about the details of these modifiable factors, that will be described by the next speaker, my friend Dr. Nishant. So thank you for your patient hearing, and thank you all.
Sorry for that. For those participating in the webinar, we have a poll for you. Do click on the answer that you think is right, and we will give out the results in a short while. Can we have the poll, please? We will give out the results in a short while. What food could contribute most for immunity? And 93% of the participants have said fresh fruits, 19% cooked food, 1% sweet and snacks, and 3% energy drinks. I think we all have got that right. Thank you all. Next, Dr. Nishant Narayan will address the audience.
Good evening. Good evening, Serena. Good evening to all of you. And it was an excellent presentation by Dr. Madhu, who had covered such a vast subject in such a short while in a very crisp manner. Before I move on to my presentation, while he was speaking about immunity and vaccination, I thought I should share a small trivia with you. It is regarding the vaccination. It is so that we all know that vaccination, in spite of helping mankind eradicate certain diseases, there is a minuscule of population who believe that vaccinations are harmful. So there is always a small number of people who think that they should not be vaccinating their kids enough. So there was a small problem rising out. So in around, I think it was in 2015 or something, I came across an interview in which the interviewer was interviewing one of our doctors, senior doctors, our additional chief physician, Dr. K. Muralidharan. He asked a very dicey question that what is Ayurveda's take on vaccination? Actually, Ayurveda, people believe that it was something of a very ancient time, and vaccination is a very recent concept. So the question was put in such a way that what was Ayurvedic people, how a doctor would respond to it. Dr. Muralidharan then had come back, presented in a very, very proper manner, saying that the concept of vaccination was always there, because he suggested the concept of Vishakanyaka, in which some maidens were given poison in very small quantity and they became immune to poison. And a lot of people might be thinking that it is a legend or a story or a myth. Let me tell you, in Greece also there was a king called Mithridates who was so apprehensive of being poisoned that he was taking little bit of poison every day, and that thing is known as Mithridatism. And Greece also is good for mythology and all. So for those people who think that it was a story, let me tell you, there was a person called Bill Hast. Bill Hast was in Miami, and he, I think, passed away in 2010 or something. He was running a serpentarium. So to make himself immune to the snakes, he used to inject a little amount of snake venom to himself, and he developed some kind of inherent immunity. And maybe because he challenged his immunity so much, it was activated so much, he lived for around 100 years. So immunity will directly correspond to longevity. This is one part. Second part is pre-COVID. That is pre-COVID, the only time we heard of, now immunity is a byword, everybody is talking about immunity. Before that, the only thing which we heard was immunization schedule of our kids. And it would be interesting to know that in Ayurvedic pediatrics also, there is certain yogas which are known as prakara yogas. Prakaras are, forts. So fortification in particular intervals of childhood, from newborn till he is 12th. They are given some medicines in particular fashion so as to fortify himself, to improve his immunity. And those people, I've heard from a lot of my personal friends who have been using these kind of things, and they find that their kids were falling ill less. So the Prakara Yogas are in detail, so I won't go into it. I'll just enter my presentation, just sharing the screen. I hope everything is. Just a minute. Sorry for the small delay. Okay. Okay, I hope the screen is clear. Serena?
Clear.
Okay. So coming to immunity. Actually, immunity has evolved over the times, because like health, which was only physical health, and now it also includes emotional, mental, even spiritual health. Similarly, immunity as a concept has evolved from phagocytosis, from vaccination. Now it has come across to a lot of factors which develop a kind of resistance to diseases, and a lot of factors are contributing, as Dr. Madhu had rightly pointed out. there were certain factors which was contributing to immunity. In Ayurveda, it is known as Bala. Like Vyadhi Kshamatva, he was said. The Vyadhi Kshamatva is divided into two parts. Vyadhi Bala Virodhita, that is reduce the strength of the disease, and the causative factor, you cut the causative factor in between. That is what causes the disease, that also can be controlled. So both the things has been contributing to Vyadhi Kshamatva. So this Bala is developed by two parts. One is the Agni. Agni is the metabolism. Metabolism at the cellular level, metabolism at the tissue levels, and the digestive things. All these things contribute to immunity, and the endocrinology, neuron, immunity, this axis is now being known as something that is giving you immunity towards a lot of the external factors might be there, but it is your own body that is going to resist it. No amount of medicine is going to give that. So it has to be, the slides are pretty basic. I hope you would be, I'd be elaborating on it in the time constraints. So these are some of the factors which I believe that are affecting the immunity. One is the food part. Food, actually, Ayurveda being a, there are a lot of people who are thinking that Ayurveda is a medical science. Actually, no. Ayurveda is more into the preventive aspect of diseases. It will tell you about the daily regimen. It will tell you about the, seasonal regimen and what to eat, how to eat, lifestyle. All these things are covered in Ayurveda primarily. The curative part, the disease explanations, the medicines all come second. So, going up to the food, Ayurveda says that certain foods taken in combination might be harmful for you. So these kind of foods are called as ahitahara. When you're taking ahitahara for a longer period, the body starts getting degenerated. The way it should be replenished is not getting proper. So there is another concept called viruddhahara, two different foods which cannot be taken together, should not be taken. So this is another part. How to take food, when to take food. This is also important. In most of our diseases which come to our hospital, like there are cases in like autoimmune disorders and all, whenever we alter their food regimen, like make them take a bit earlier food, fruits should be, and I think a lot of people are knowing that also, because 93% have said that fruits are going to improve immunity. So that part is almost covered, everybody knows. The second part comes lifestyle. Our lifestyle is causing a lot of issues in causing the diseases. We sleep late, we eat late, and dinner is the biggest meal of the day. All these things contribute to obesity and such things, which make us more prone to this diseases. Then comes the thoughts and conduct. It is very interesting to note, and you might be interested to know that Ayurveda gives a lot of stress to the thoughts also. We have something called Achara Rasayanams. Achara Rasayanams is how to conduct yourselves. Even in modern science now, we know that the positive frame of mind is helpful in causing this kind of curative aspects of the diseases. People are having some groups so that they could share their thoughts and all, and that is helping in helping the diseases. Then comes the seasonal part. Madhu had already told that certain seasons are said to be strengthening, that causes the bala. It is said that people born in Hemanta and Shishira, they are slightly stronger than the other people who are born on other seasons. So similarly, in Ayurveda also says that in certain seasons, certain foods should be taken, certain regimens to be followed. Like now it is rains going on here. In the rainy season, what happens? Your digestion goes down. Even though if you might be feeling hungry and all, digestion goes down. And during that time also, Ayurveda says that certain foods should be given more, like you have to take more honey and all. So what happens is, we are more prone to certain diseases which causes a lot of mucus secretions around. So a mucolytic thing is being incorporated into the food. Coming to lifestyle also, one thing I forgot to mention, we are sleeping less. Ayurveda says that sleep, not only Ayurveda, health says that sleep as well as exercise and then food. These three things are what gives you health. Talking about sleep, I'll tell you a small thing which says that why sleep is so important. While you're sleeping, your pineal gland starts secreting a hormone called melatonin. In a lot of places for insomnia, they're giving melatonin. So these melatonin is a free radical scavenger. It is an antioxidant. So when it goes through the body in the night, it cleanses the body of free radicals, giving you health normally. So when you sleep more, you are getting more immunity or more health. Coming to the medicine part is, of course, it is not the least. It is one of the most important parts. But food and other things, if they are contributing, you won't need a medicine. Food becomes your medicine. Now, speaking about medicines, you know that we are all having a lot of social media interactions now. People are telling you a lot of things about what medicines to take. This, you can take that. There are people who are saying that you take a tulsi and your mobile radiation is going. You can take. So a lot of people are saying, and you are basically confused which to take. So a lot of medicines have been told by Ayurvedic seers who had always mentioned Ayurvedic formulation, that is medical formulation, in which multiple medicines were given. I'll tell you a small example. Like here, a lot of people take tulsi. Tulsi is a very good medicine. Everybody takes it. It is a pretty good medicine also. But the thing is, if you see the recent studies of tulsi, it has got anti-spermicidal properties also. So for a celibate individual, it is good. For certain times, it is good. But taking tulsi in a large quantity and all, it might not be as good. So when now Ayush department has come up with the Ayush Vatha Churnam, which is Ayurveda is also making it, they have 4 parts, like dalchini is there, and then tulsi is there, black pepper is there, and ginger is there. The tulsi has got anti-spermicidal properties. The other 3 will be negating the effect. So formulations are always helpful in negating the negative effects of these things or enhancing the effects also. Like when you're taking turmeric or something, a lot of people take turmeric water. Turmeric, if you take in milk, it would be better. That is, scientifically, it has been proved now. And the second thing is, turmeric, when you're taking with a pinch of pepper, it would be better. So always go to a doctor, decide what to take. And Ayurveda is not, a general medicine kind of thing. It is customized. For each person, for each individual, it will be different. Even the simple Chyawanprash, is given as medicine as well as a supplement. But there might be people who might not be conducive to Chyawanprash in a particular season. So there are other rasayanas also. Rasayanas, I think Dr. Vinod will be covering more. So I'll be just superficially. Now, how to build immunity? Most of you are aware of how to build immunity because it is basically bringing about the Shuddhi, the cleanliness. Now you know that cleanliness, how important it is. It is not just Swachh Bharat. It is also washing your hands. It is also keeping distance, not getting contaminated. Take better food. All these things, when you're building immunity, you have to take care of the food part a lot because junk foods and all, when it goes in, the foods which are difficult for you to digest, this is going to be a problem too. So immunity building foods are there. And you all know, fruits are one of the best things to be taken. You add fruits in such a way that other foods are less, oily foods are less. It is not that oil should be prohibited, ghee should not be prohibited. These are all to be taken in balanced quantity. In Ayurveda, when they said food, they said shadrasas are important because all rasas should be taken together to bring you then the flavor of the food. You should be feeling happy eating some food. You should not be making. So if you are interested in a food which is not very healthy, take it in smaller quantity. That also can be done. Mental excellence. Dr. Madhu had just mentioned. So I just, there are movies like Patch Adams and Munna Bhai and all, where your mental excellence or their positive mind frame helps in curing diseases. The basic issue is, in Ayurveda, we call it 3 states. That is Avarasattvam, Pravarasattvam, that is your strength of your will. That is also important in fighting or combating a disease. If you are stressed, if you are depressed when you are having a disease, you have psychotic pains. The fibromyalgia is all compared to, coming with this psychological things. Your secretions of endorphins help in reducing your pains, all this. Exercise should be regular. You should be diligent in doing exercises. Yoga is one thing which you can do anywhere. The breathing exercises are there. The mental, focusing is there. So all this helps. Now, talking about Rasayana and Panchakarma, since Dr. Vinod is going to do it, I'll tell you a small example of Panchakarma. It happened in our Delhi hospital. Actually, a patient who had come for rectal carcinoma, and he had a very good results with us. And then he is a foreign patient. I won't be disclosing anything else about it. But next time when he came, it was with testicular carcinoma. He was having Klebsiella infections also. He was not responding to any antibiotics or something to this infection. So when he came, naturally, his testicular carcinoma is there. A lot of complications are there. So we gave him the Panchakarma, which is Shodhana therapy, is cleansing. So after the cleansing, what happened was he started responding to the medicine. So what happens? It stimulates. Our cleansing therapies always stimulate your body to absorb things better. So this is one part that we have to. So everyone should undergo this kind of cleansing once in a while. It is not necessary that you go to a hospital. You can consult your doctor. There are medications available, which is laxative as well as purgatives, which can be given. There are certain medicines which you can administer to the nostrils, clearing it. So Panchakarmas, he'll be explaining more. So I'm not going because of the time constraints. Now, how to improve immunity? The next action. One thing is don't let your immunity go down. How do we do that? One thing is avoid unhealthy habits. What are the unhealthy habits? Like you're going for alcohol, smoking, such things, eating late, binge eating. You're depressed, you go and eating more and more and more. These kind of things can be avoided. Then develop a healthy, balanced and happy lifestyle. Happiness is very important. Your healthy lifestyle is okay. Balanced, maybe you can find out some things and decide what are all balanced, but it should also make you happy. So go and mix up with people, have a good conduct, meet more people. Do not indulge yourself only in the social media interactions. You indulge in more social interactions with distance, of course, regarding what we are doing now. Then be aware of your health requirements, or not just your diseases, because a lot of things, when when you're getting stressed, it. We are all living for a future relaxed lifestyle. We work a lot. When we are working, we have to believe that we are here to, not just to earn, we have to invest. That is why I put invest in health and immunity. Our work is always an, investment for our future stable life. Similarly, health is more important. Then supplement your body with Ayurvedic medicines building Ojas. Ojas is the essence of all the dhatus, which is another different concept. That is, your vital forces should be improved with Ayurvedic medicines. I'm telling you Ayurvedic medicines because Ayurveda encompasses a lot of things. It is not just the medicines. So consult a doctor. You can always, contact us. We have a web portal. You can interact with any of our doctors. You can tell us our doubts. You can even visit any of our branches also. The doctors will be really happy to help you out to build up a, kind of supplement, build up your body's immunity strength. It is not just a diseased person who should go to the doctor. A person who have to maintain their health also has to. So this Agni Bala has to be improved. This is one part. Now coming to the final part, I think I am not taking more time now. In today's scenario, it is basically, we call it as a simple thing in the social media interactions about SMS, that is social distancing. Use a mask and use cleaning with soap or sanitizer. Somebody was asking me in the chat box also, I'm telling you that a lot of people are using masks. So it is causing hypoxia. So the thing is, it is true that when you are not used to wearing masks, a lot of people are using masks for a longer intervals. There are, specific yogic exercises like pranayama, which will allow you to breathe in more. The oxygen level should not fall. That is very necessary for your health. So when you are using the mask, when you are alone, when you are in another place where you feel that you are safe, you can take off your mask and take deep breaths. If you are not in an area where you are exposed to such things, like a doctor who is in a COVID hospital, he cannot go out, or a nurse or a person who cannot go out because that area is already contaminated. But other places where he is safe enough, he should definitely do it. Thank you. I am very grateful to Hindu for partnering with Ayurveda Shala for reaching out to people and we are trying to tell you a little bit more about things. Any doubts you have, the slides were, as I told you, very basic. Any doubts you have, you can always tell us. We are always happy to be of service. We have been serving the people for more than 100 years now. So we'll be happy to do so in future too. Thank you. Thank you, Serena.
Thank you, Doctor, for elaborating on the various factors that affect immunity and how we can actually build our immunity. Participants, we have another poll for you. Please take a look and click the right answers. Can we have the poll, please? We will do out the results in a short while. We should have the results in a bit. Okay. So the question was how to manage stress. 22% of the participants said yoga, 11% hobbies, 8% by socializing, and 79% all of the above. Thank you, participants. I now invite Dr. Vinod R. Varyar to address the audience now. Please, Doctor.
Thank you, Ms. Sarina. Thank you, Dr. Madhu and Dr. Nishan. That was a very elaborate session, and you have explained most of the things regarding the concept of Ayurveda, the concept of immunity in Ayurveda. So, first of all, let me express my sincere gratitude to Kotikal Ayurvedishala and the Hindu for inviting me for this webinar. I'll share my presentation. So I'll be speaking about, since Dr. Nishant and Dr. Madhu had already elaborated about the concepts of immunity in Ayurveda, I'll be speaking about the COVID-19 Ayurvedic prevention and treatment strategies, programs, which is currently undergoing in Kerala, and a little bit about the Panchakarma, the role of Panchakarma and Rasaya in building immunity. So, with the support of Ayush department in the center and government of Kerala, we have initiated a few fruitful programs to fight against COVID-19 and other emerging diseases, infectious diseases. See, the public health involvement is not only about giving some medicines for a period of time. Ayurveda clearly knows that immunity cannot be achieved in a day or two by giving you one or two medicines. And Ayurveda believes in a healthy lifestyle, which includes a proper balanced diet, as the earlier speaker mentioned, optimum exercise, adequate physical and mental rest, enough adequate sleep, etc., as a way to prevent many diseases in the long run. Medicines will only supplement it. So what all programs we have initiated is not only for the COVID-19, but to keep our immune system intact, so that we can fight against against various infectious organisms which may emerge in the future also. The first case reported in India was a Kerala student studying in Wuhan. It was declared by Government of India by the end of January. And from that day onwards, all the government missionaries started working to fight against the COVID-19. And on February 14, after the confirmation of the third case, Kerala government declared Corona or COVID-19 as a state calamity. The experts understood that the best way to prevent the infection is one is breaking the chain, which the campaign started by March 15, identifying the infection early. The
Doctor, can you
awareness
be a
programs.
little louder, please?
Is it not audible?
Can you be a little louder, please?
Is it okay now?
Yeah, fine, sir.
Is it okay? Right. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So the experts understood that the best way to prevent the infection is one is breaking the chain, which is the campaign they started by March 15. The second is identification of identifying the infection early. Many awareness programs, many awareness shows which explain the different symptoms as well as the different laboratory investigations and the timely medical care, as well as keeping our immune system intact. In this aspect, the authorities, the government understood that Ayush department, especially Ayurveda, has a great role to play. And from the previous experience we had on Nipah virus and other infections which happened in Kerala in the recent time, the doctors in Kerala were very confident that we could contribute something to keep our immune system intact and to prevent the disease, or at least reduce the complication of a disease. See, we have enough experience in that, but the documentation was not in a proper way in the earlier times. So this time, all the programs will be well documented, and we will be able to provide enough data very soon, which is promising right now, which is very promising. A COVID-19 response cell was formed after getting a green signal from the Honorable Chief Minister and Health Minister of Kerala. And in the month of April itself, government launched all the schemes recommended by the response cell, the core committee, through Ayur Raksha clinics in Ayurvedic institutions. The Ayur Raksha clinic provide preventive medicine to improve immunity and other health support. See, more importantly, it spreads the message of Ayurveda's importance in maintaining good health. So currently there are 1,206 clinics in Kerala, and the Ayurvedic preventive strategies have been delivered to a total number of 1,69,930 recipients till date through these clinics, through these Ayurveda clinics. And several more people are benefited by the Ayurvedic preventive strategy who are living in countries like Dubai, Singapore, Germany, and USA. Right now, currently, there are 4 distinct programs. One is the Swasthya project. This is giving preventive medicine given to people who are less than 60 years of age, who are in contact with people under quarantine. And the focus is on the healthy food, exercise, and yoga more than medicine. As the earlier speaker told about the importance of healthy food, we know how much important the healthy food, the proper exercise or yoga, whatever, or coming down the mind. All these are very important for the proper building up of the immunity. And the second project is Sukhayusham. This is the first proposed model of reverse quarantine in the state. The focus is on geriatric population, and currently 1,29,833 individuals over the age of 60 years are under this program, and none of them have been reported positive for COVID-19 so far. The third project, the Amritam, is for giving medicines to those who are in quarantine. A mental support is also provided to this group through telephonic video conferencing, and nearly 51,000 individuals are currently under the Amritam project. So what we have observed is that there are less incidents of positive cases among those in this program. And a total cure in individuals with mild symptoms is observed, and a speedy recovery is also observed. The fourth program, that convalescent care, the Punarjani program, it is for the convalescent care. Like once the person who was positive has become negative, even after that, for a period of 15 days, a few medicines are given for the complete restoration of their health. And a preventive strategy for high-risk group is also made. High-risk group includes the healthcare workers, police, excise, civil defense team members, destitute home inmates, etc. And till now, the 32,274 beneficiaries have received the preventive strategies. prescription, as Dr. Nishant rightly told, it's always a tailor-made in Ayurveda. It is not that for every person the same medicines should be given. No? It is not like that in Ayurveda. We consider a lot of things before making a prescription. And the prescription is not only about giving some medicine, it includes a diet, a proper diet, the exercise, sleep, how much time you have to sleep, yoga. And regarding the diet, not only what to eat and what not to eat. It is not only about what to eat and what not to eat. It is also about how much to eat, when to eat, with whom to eat, etc. These minute details are also explained in Ayurveda. Stress control is always very essential, and I think in the question answer session, if question arises, I'll discuss more about the stress control now. And the drugs, the medicines like Indugandham, Shadangam, Billuadi, Sudarshanam, Ayurraksha Shavanaprasha, Brahma Rasayana, and Dashamula Kadatriyadi are the commonly prescribed combination. And single drugs like Ashwagandha, Yashtimadu, turmeric, ginger, guduji, Jamanti, etc. are also showing very promising results. And many studies are going on. We observed that mental health support is absolutely necessary to strengthen the immune system of people, especially those who are in quarantine and those who are at high risk. Keeping that in mind, currently two projects are undergoing. One is the Kude project. It is more in a peripheral level. This is a joint venture of Ayurveda College Kottakkal, Indian Institute of Medicine, Government Ayurveda Research Institute for Mental Health, and Ayurveda Medical Association of India. Second one, that is a Harsham project, is more specialized. The Ayurvedic psychiatrists are conducting this project. Ayur Shield, this is actually an extension of Ayur Raksha Clinic. This was launched by Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala. Currently 6,000 such Ayur Shield clinics are there in the state right now, which provide a health support to the public under a common protocol. It is a long-term plan, and it will be continued as a complete healthcare package of Ayurveda even after COVID-19. Kottakkal Ayurveda Shala is also an very active member in Ayur Shield clinics. The next one, the Niramaya, is an online portal. It is actually connecting all the government Ayurveda facilities. It gives online consultation, and it gives free medicines for those who are in need from the nearest government institution. Data is collected and analyzed, and this is the focus of Niramaya. Ayurvedic students are supporting the modern epidemiological wing by data collection. So currently we have taken up so many projects, so many programs to fight against the COVID-19 and other infectious diseases which may emerge in the future also. We have understood that Ayurveda has a great scope in tackling these such infections, and hopefully in the near future we can come up with more data. I'll just brief about the role of Panchakarma and the role of Rasayana also. See, every day we are exposed to different kinds of toxins like chemicals or food adulterants, environmental toxins, pesticides, and whatnot. So these accumulated toxins, or the toxins can be intrinsic also. So these accumulated toxins, what we call as AMA, will weaken our immune system and make us more prone to different kinds of diseases and infections. So we have to eliminate these toxins, which will be accumulated in our various levels in our body, like in each cell or each organ. And the only way to eliminate these toxins is by doing Panchakarma. And Panchakarma has nothing to do with the massage or pouring oil on the forehead, as many people think. It is a purificatory treatment method in Ayurveda, which every person, even who doesn't show any evidence of health issues, any evident health issues, they have to do it timely. It is a way of maintaining good health. It is having the preventive as well as the curative effect. It is a little bit time consuming, but it is much more effective. And a variant of the classical Panchakarma called as Ritu Shodhana is also beneficial. This is very easy to do. We do it. A lot of people in our place regularly conduct this Ritu Shodhana, which are to prevent a disease which can occur in a particular season. And coming to the last part, the role of Rasayana, and after eliminating these toxins from our body, to keep our tissues strong, to keep our system, all our systems including the immune system strong, the Ayurveda recommends the use of certain therapeutic regimes, which is called rasayana. The very popular rasayana, as everyone knows, is Chyawanprash. There are a lot of other rasayana drugs which are having immunomodulatory effect. When people talk about Ayurvedic medicines, they talk about Ayurveda immunostimulant action or immunobooster action. See, what is needed is the immunomodulatory action, because because many times the immunostimulators can create a problem, especially in conditions like COVID-19. More immunity may have to create a problem. So immunomodulatory effect of most of these drugs, which is mentioned here, the immunomodulatory action is studied. Some medicines are there which are having specific immunosuppressant action, which are having specific immunostimulant action. But most of these drugs have been studied to understand the immunomodulatory actions. And there are various published articles proving the immunomodulatory action of these drugs like Ashwagandha, Guruji, Bala, Amalagi, and combinations like Chyawanprash, Brahma Rasayana, Shukla Rasayana, etc. So with this, let me conclude my talk. So if anyone has any queries, I would be happy to answer. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor, for enlightening us on various key topics. We will now move on to the question and answer session. One of our participants would like to know, while recommending immunity boosting foods, do you take into account the body constitution of a person? Dr. Madhu, would you like to take the question, sir?
Okay. I think the question is what kind of food one should eat. Actually, depending upon the patient's prakriti, constitution, we are prescribing, while we are prescribing medicines, we will advise some patyaharas, means the food that should be taken during the medicine intake. During that time, we will stick on to specific food items, but that one should eat. A physician can assess the person whether he is Vata Prakriti or Pitta Prakriti or Kapha Prakriti. Depending upon his Prakriti, we are advising patients to take wholesome food items, the selected wholesome food items. For example, in a Pitta Prakriti patient, it is not advisable to take too much milk. It will cause diarrhea in those persons. So in those patients, we will advise milk in a small quantity. So like that, we are advising specific food items or medicines depending upon the prakriti of the patient. It is correct.
The next question is, these days, fruits are contaminated with pesticides and the quality is compromised. So how much is it going to help to build immunity? Dr. Nishant, would you like to take the question, sir?
Very interesting question. That is one part of it. That is, it is true that fruits are contaminated, but so is the environment. Total environment is also contaminated. We are living in a very polluted kind of things. That brings us to the primary things why detoxification is necessary. As Dr. Vinod was telling, the detoxification part, fruits, we cannot avoid it because everything we take. If not fruit, what are you going to take? If you think that instead of fruits, you are going to take fish, all the pollutants and the effluents are going into the sea, into the rivers. So everything is contaminated. To an extent, we can wash it. We can put it in some haldi water or something and clean it properly. We can take off the skin where necessary. We can take those fruits, those foods which will be less contaminated. We can use natural spices instead of the inorganic kind of things, these things. And even though we do all these things, we are sure to be getting contaminated with a lot of toxins. So what we have to do is we have to go for periodic shodhanas. Periodic shodhanas, like you can even take a simple castor oil, or there are powders like Avipatti churnams. You can always visit the nearest Ayurvedic doctor to tell you a best sort of laxative which you can take according to the constitution, as Dr. Madhu was telling. Each constitution may require a different kind of laxatives. We have around 15, 20, 30 types of laxatives in Ayurveda Shala product list. So each can be given to a different person. So even if you're taking the fruits, you should not avoid fruits. There are certain fruits which are more polluted. The second option you have is grow your fruits. This is a very important part, and a lot of people are coming up with that idea. Instead of growing, when a couple of years ago, I was there, a lot of people were saying that, taking rubber plantations and all, they are finding people different, having difficulty in there. They're saying that let us grow mangosteens instead. It's a good business opportunity. It also gives you fruits. There were a lot of fruit trees in India. What we did was, for shade purpose and all, we have been cutting the fruit trees and putting other trees also. We can always put other fruit trees also in our backyards. Where you don't get it, you have to depend on the fruit seller. Take the fruits, buy the fruit, wash it, clean it, take it. You cannot avoid the fruits. I know that it is a difficult thing to do because the fruits are contaminated. What else are you going to take? Everything is contaminated nowadays. So go for periodic detoxifications. That would be my advice to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. The next question is, in this fast-paced life where stress is inevitable, how can Ayurveda help in making it balanced and peaceful? Dr. Vinod, can you answer, sir?
Very interesting question. See, there are different ways to, like meditation or pranayama or listening to music or do whatever you like. If you like, you want to dance, you dance. See, all these things are going to reduce your stress. They are all good. See, but the problem is, a lot of people cannot find peace in, even if they do all these things, they are not able to find peace in them. They're always stressed. They're always in an anxious mode. So from my experience, what I have understood is that self-realization or understanding the core of spirituality is the best way to be stress-free. When you talk about spirituality, people may think as a religious or something. No, it is not like that. Spirituality doesn't mean that you have to be a religious always. It is a concept much above the religion. And if you try to understand the spirituality, it generally helps a lot. And also, better not to react to your emotions. Like, don't express your emotions all of a sudden. You have to express your emotions. Definitely, you have to express your emotions. But if at all possible, try to channelize your emotions. If you are in a conversation, if some problem is there, try to channelize your emotions and try to be constructive. If you're not able to be constructive in a conversation, just walk away. That will be the best thing to do. What all things you try to understand yourself, like what you are, the place where you live in, and don't overthink about the things. The problems, only the problems. And in this situation, COVID-19 situation, every day newspaper or TV channels 24/7 they are showing the death rates and all, making what you call like a mass panic attack. So better you can watch the news and all, no problem. But at the same time, try to watch something else also, which will make you happy. And you interact with your family members, interact with your friends, at least through phone. We have many facilities like we are now doing Zoom calls and all. So socialize like that. That will be the best choice. Be stress-free.
Thank you, Doctor. The next question is in connection with coronavirus. Are there any documented clinical trials involving Ayurvedic preparations for COVID patients? And are there any Ayurvedic preparations to prevent or build immunity to prevent coronavirus? Dr. Nishant, would you like to answer, sir?
Okay. The thing is, Dr. Vinod was telling about the Ayur Shield project. Ayurveda Shala is also a part of it. Documentation is going on. As far as the coronavirus is concerned, we are not treating a virus. We are not treating a virus specifically, but we are giving medicines which will be enhancing the immunity. And we have been giving medicines which has been enhancing the immunity or modulating the immunity in such a way that your body becomes strong enough. We are all aware that even though corona is around, a lot of people are able to resist it. There are a lot of asymptomatic people are also there. So documentation is going on, and it is too early to say that what kind of results it is. A lot of claims are coming. A lot of people are coming up with medication which they say. But at the present moment, we are concentrating on improving the immunity in such a way. And there are indeed a lot of medicines which have been proven, which has been time tested, that of improving the immunity. Somebody was asking in a question about if the parameters are being checked. Of course, in most of our allergy clinics and all, we go for blood checkups and all. After taking the medications, we find that it is having an effect on immunity. We know that in addition to that arthritis and other kind of diseases, now one big portion of our treatments are from treating autoimmune disorders. So Ayurvedic medicine is having an effect, a profound effect on the immunity of the person with these medications and with the treatments. So we can be very, hopeful that something will evolve. A lot of systems are working in tandem together, and something will evolve which will give us a better or healthier person. Healthier person in the sense that the citizens are benefiting. Alternate systems of medicines are going to contribute a lot in the coming years to improve the immunity of the person, because it is going to supplement and complement the allopathic science, which is going to, which is also trying with their vaccination trials and all. So I think definitely we are hopeful that something will be coming around. The documentation also only started recently. It will take some time, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for that explanation. Dr. Madhu, can you please recommend some books on home remedies based on Ayurveda?
Home remedies. In Ayurveda, we are detailing so many Dinacharya's, the daily regimens and Ritu climatic the regimens that should be followed during changes of climate and all. Basically, we are depending upon the classic references, Vagbhata Samhita, Susruta Samhita, and Charaka Samhita. Depending upon these texts, we are advising people actually. Kottakkal Ayurveda is having so many popular book sessions regarding the Dinacharya's and Riduriyas, described in English also, available. From publication division of Kottakkal Ayurveda, you may collect the books.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Vinod, a participant wants to know that some Ayurvedic medicine companies are coming up with immunity boosting kits. What is your take on it, doctor?
Yeah, that is what I was mentioning. Ayurveda boosting is not the right term according to me. It is actually the immunomodulatory action. So immunobooster means many times like the immunomodulatory effect is many times most pronounced as immunoboosters or immunosuppressants. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of studies in this field, like the immunomodulatory actions of many Ayurvedic drugs, which is published also in journals like journals, which can go in detail if you search the PubMed. Regarding the question was on the different Ayurvedic companies promoting that advertising.
Immunity boosting kits.
Yeah, actually there are immunomodulatory drugs which I have mentioned, like Indurandam Kritam, which is an excellent immunomodulatory drug. Chavanaprakasha. I'm mentioning only the well-studied, well-documented medicines. The Indurandam Kritam, the Chavanaprakasha, Brahma Rasayana, Ashwagandha, turmeric, Jamanti, and such lot of medicines which are mentioned in the classics. Mentioned the classical texts are beneficial for the beneficial as an immunomodulator. And that is what we were mentioning. Like, don't watch an advertisement and go and buy and take the medicine. It is always better that you go to a doctor, Ayurvedic physician nearby, and consult him and take his opinion on what medicine you have to take. Whether it is only most of the medicines are OTC products, but better not take it as an OTC thing. Better go and consult a doctor, a Ayurvedic physician, and then only you take it. That will be beneficial.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Nishant, a participant wants to know if there are any plants that can be grown in a home environment to improve the immunity.
Well, that is a very interesting question. I think the person is going in the very right direction, because one of the biggest problems Ayurveda is going to face is the dearth of herbs. So if everybody like her starts thinking about a herb in a home, it would be a pretty good thing. In fact, Ayurveda Shala in our medicinal herb garden, we give medicinal herbs for cultivation, small plants and all. Which plants? One of the very common plants which we all used to have was tulsi. Tulsi used to be there in every houses. They used to pray in front of it, and it was a part and parcel of our lives. Then, in addition to that, a lot of people might be, if you have a small space and all, bale would be a good thing. Bale, I mean to say, puvalam or bilwa. In north and all, you call it as bale. The fruits are also taken. And puvalam is there, then tulsi is there, and even small herbs which you use, spices which you are using at home, like your dhania is there, methi is there. All these things can be grown at home. It will give you, as you were asking a question earlier about contaminations and all. A lot of things can be. Everything in this world, Ayurveda considers it as a medicine. So most of the plants which we find around us, it is a herb only. It depends upon which area she is living. If whichever area she is, certain areas, certain plants do grow. So those plants can be rooted. You can easily contact us on mail@ayurvedashala.com and let us know which area you're living, which kind of place you are there. We might be able to help you regarding which plants you could grow. Let this be only an indicator, this webinar and all. You can interact with Ayurveda anytime you want. The herbs and all, this has to be decided based on where you're living. I don't know where this lady was from Kerala or some other place.
No idea, sir.
Okay. Anyway, this is a very common thing. Tulsi, everywhere you can go in a small things. There is something called, ajoin and all. A lot of places you can get ajoin plants and all. I remember a small incident where we have something called panikurka, which we give for kids here. And while I was in Delhi, I was searching for this thing. It could be grown in small. And somewhere they showed me a plant, ajoin plant, and said that it looked same. So plants are available everywhere. It depends upon how and where to grow it. So depending upon her area, she could grow a lot of plants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Madhu, this question again is in connection with the coronavirus. Kabasura Kudineer is now being widely promoted as a preventive drink. What is your opinion on it, sir?
You see, as per Ayurveda, any single medicine or a single preparation is not an immunomodulatory drug, or that cannot kill or destroy the virus. Because the pharmacological action of that medicine will not create an atmosphere to kill the virus involved. So always Ayurvedic perspective is holistic approach. We have to build the immunity. We have to empower the immunity of the patient to tackle the virus, to made an atmosphere, internal atmosphere inside our body, to create an atmosphere to destroy the growth of the virus inside the body. So the single medicines are always having the limitation. In some patients that may create a healing or some symptomatic relief may be there in some patients only. So we cannot generalize these medicines in all patients. For example, some medicines, Nilavepu Kudineer, practiced in Tamil Nadu, some areas in some population, they have tried it and some results were seen. But in some areas, that medicine showed no results. So we cannot generalize the medicines, these type of medicines. So it is always advisable to practice the holistic aspect of Ayurveda. Along with the medication, they should follow the lifestyle that is preventing the entry of organism into the body, or increasing the capability of the body to resist against the organisms like that. So it is not advisable to practice one or two single medicines for the for relieving from the corona.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Vinod, could you explain the concept of immunomodulators and how they work?
The immunomodulators in Ayurveda, as mentioned in the context of Rasayana drugs. That was what I was explaining in my slide. These Rasayana drugs are not alien from the normal Shamra drugs or normal medicines which we give. Like that, they are not a separate group of drugs. When we give these drugs in a proper dose, with the proper preparation, in a proper preparation, in a proper dose and proper time, that will have that immunomodulatory, that Rasayana effect. For example, there's ashwagandha is a drug which when is given in a very small quantity, very small dose, is acting as a stress reliever or for mental peace and all. But when it is given in a large quantity, it acts as a rasayana, it acts as an immunomodulator. So the concept of the immunomodulatory effect of a drug is explained in the context of rasayana, and these rasayanas will have an action when your body is purified. So all these rasayanas are advised to be used after the proper cleansing methods, either by doing a virechana or bhavana, purgation, or induced vomiting, etc. Once you are done with the purificatory therapy, the panchakarma, then the rasayana drugs will act very well in the body, and then only you will have that immunomodulatory action. So it is always better to go for a purificatory method, and there are certain medicines like Induvana, Gridam and all, which are having equally this rasayana property, which can be given as shamana also. It all depends on the dose of the medicine, the time you administer the medicine, the method you are preparing the medicine.
There's one connected question, Doctor. Is there any dosage regulation for Chyawanprash?
Chyawanprash, very interesting question. Chyawanprash, actually prash means a meal. So when this Chyawanprash is to be administered as a rasayana, it is to be administered in such a dose that you skip a meal. For example, you have 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day. So say a breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So if you want to take Chyawanprash, better to skip the breakfast and take it in the morning. So the dose will be like that. Well, something like 30 gram to 60 gram, or in some medicines it may go even higher, like even up to 100. Some medicines like Kalyana Gula are generally given 50 gram to 100 gram. So this is the exact dose of a medicine like Chyawanprash. But that dose is not practically applicable to all individuals because of their digestive capacity. So we regulate the dose of the medicine accordingly, according to the digestive capacity of that particular person, according to the strength of the disease, how severe is that disease, then only we decide the dose. But prash means any prash, Chyawanprash or any, there are different types of prash. Prash means a meal. So the classical dose of Chyawanprash is the amount we have to take as a meal.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Nishant, when we take Ayurvedic medication, are there any specific do's and don'ts?
Well, actually, it is not for the medicines we have do's and don'ts. A lot of people confuse that. It is for a particular disease that we are having do's and don'ts. When you are taking a particular medicine for a disease, like you are taking something for diabetes, naturally you are not supposed to take sugar or some certain things. So the pathyam or apathyam, it is related to the disease. But of course, there are certain medicines which should be taken after food. Like when you're taking an Aristam or something like that, you have to take it after food, because the nature of that medicine is such that it affects the digestion in a different manner. So there is a commonly what we do is when you're taking a medicines, we ask the people to take a lighter food, which would be nourishing, but it should be light. That the digestion should not be affected, because some of the medications which we give in Ayurveda or for a particular disease might be such that it requires certain things to be avoided. That is the reason why when you're going to a doctor, the doctor will be saying your constitution is there, your disease is there, everything has to be taken, and from where you are coming, what caused it, and accordingly these things are modulated. That is the pathyas and apatyas, a lot of thought goes into it. That is one of the reasons why earlier also in the slides I told that for a medicine, it is always not only medicine, everything when you're taking, it is always good to take an advice. Like now, Dr. Vinod was also mentioning about Chyawanprash. There is a common practice of taking Chyawanprash followed by milk, because Chyawanprash is actually a warm kind of things. So certain people, when you are taking it, to cool it, you give milk on top of it. And certain people may not need that. And similarly, the selection of the lehyams or prashams or rasayanas is also done based on the people. So do's and don'ts are this. Your general do's and don'ts will tell you that you have to take little bit less oily or less heavy foods. That is, the foods which are difficult to digest should be curbed a bit. Then naturally, the unhealthier food habits we'll try to avoid, and we'll be advising you to have a more rest oriented things. When you are having a disease or something, it is better to conserve your energy to such an extent that your food can be used for nourishing rather than using up a part of the food for digesting the food, these things. So these are the things which you have to take care. And in certain food items, we even ask the people not to go out in the sunlight. We ask them to take rest. The exercises and such things for some days is often prohibited too. And other unhealthy habits like smoking and alcohol and such things are set to be stopped. Then that's a general thing, you have to do it anyway. These toxic habits has to be changed. So this is it. It is related to the person only. We can say that, but the pathya thing, it is not that a lot of people go there and say that certain foods when you're taking, you are not supposed to take non-vegetarian. So since it is a non-vegetarian prohibited things, I should not be taking Ayurvedic. It is nothing like that. Ayurvedic medicine also contains non-vegetarian foods. So it is nothing like that. Depending upon the disease, like when you are emaciated and all, you have to be given mamsa. So that can be given. And alternates are also there. It is not that vegetarians will be weak and we won't be able to address it. There are a lot of medicines. So this is how we decide on what to do and what not to do while you're consulting or.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Madhu, are there Ayurvedic medicines that can be taken by everyone on a daily basis for general health?
Okay. Actually, the medicines are the Virya Pradhanas because they are indicated for specific diseases. But Ayurveda contains so many daily regimens, so that like preventive food items that can be taken regularly by a person to improve his health. Otherwise, if we are taking medicines, they are Virya Pradhanas and they are having some particular intention in our body. They are correcting the pathological condition of a patient. So, if we convert our food as medicine, then we can consume so many food items to detoxify. As Dr. Nishant told earlier, we have to detoxify our body regularly. For that, we can use so many ahara dravyas that contain the medicinal properties in that. For example, Haridra. Haridra is a very, very, very best medicine to improve the immunity or the Vyadhishamata of our body. By using the Haridra in our curries or all, we can improve the resistance of our body. Gooseberries, Nellika, we can use the Embolica. We can use along with the food items, and Like that, if we convert our food as a medicine, then our daily food habits should be like that, so that we can convert the food as medicine, and our health will be improved by that. Other than that, if we are utilizing these specific medicines like the powders, kashayas or aristas daily for prevention, that is not a good habit. We have to take medicines whenever we are having diseases. Other than that, we can use food items as food item medicines.
Thank you, Doctor. We will now move on to the closing remarks from our panelist. Dr. Nishant, would you like to start, sir?
Okay, the closing remarks, the things are on, I have already told those things. The basic thing is, the gist of what we are trying to tell is, it is basically, immunity has to be built gradually. Dr. Vinod had also said the same things, that it is not an overnight thing. You have to inculcate certain habits, and you have to start taking certain food. The habits include the food as well as the exercise. Concentrate on 3 things. Have an adequate sleep. You should sleep at a correct time. Then eat proper food in a balanced manner. Try to use or eat according to your needs. The person who is in a sedentary work and all, he need not take the same kind of food as a person who's doing manual work. So those food requirements should be assessed and then taken. Then everybody, irrespective of all the things on the care and all, we should all go for a regular or a periodic kind of cleansing regimen. You have to decide it. Any Ayurvedic doctor can help you with that. There are certain medicine, after 15 days, you can go for a purgation. That's a simple way to cleanse yourself out. So one, cleansing. Then the second thing is cleanliness outside as well as inside. Both the things we have to be taking care of. So in the corona time also, cleanliness comes. Cleanliness of what? Cleanliness of your body, cleanliness of your surroundings, as well as clean food. Whichever you can have a clean food. When I'm saying clean food, I mean the food which will not be causing any accumulation of toxins inside your body. We are all aware which food may cause it. In spite of knowing that, we are doing a lot of things. So these things have to be taken care of. I think this is enough for keeping the health. Exercise, sleep, and food. 3 things, you take care of it, and I think you have a good immunity in your hands. And that is it. Keep your thoughts pure. Be happy.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Madhu, your closing remarks, please.
Okay. Thanks for your patient hearing. As a closing remark, I will tell, as Dr. Nishant and Dr. Vinod, immunity or achieved only one or two drugs or treatment modality. We have to improve. We have to necessary steps to change our life, to modify our lifestyle in order to achieve the targets of Vyadhishamatva through the contributing factors, the modifiable contributing factors that we have told earlier. We have to take wholesome food items. We have to change our lifestyle with the habit of wholesome food items, proper daily regimens, daily exercises, and we should keep our mental attitude in a calm mode, and we have to take some herbals as our daily regimen to improve our Vyadhishamatva. Like that, if we are trying to educate our community, our society to utilize these items and aware of these factors, then the herd immunity, the immunity of the society will be more, and so that our community will be more excellent to resist against these communicable disease. It should not be one single coronavirus. Other than that, we can prevent all the communicable disease if we are trying to improve or empower our host immune system by our resistant system by utilizing these contributing factors. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Vinod, your remarks, sir.
Yeah, thank you everyone for patient listening. What I would like to tell as a closing remark is that in the current COVID-19 context, right now there's a mass fear that something is going to happen and all. What you need is not fear. What we need is we have to be cautious. Just that we have to be cautious. We have to obey what the government tells, what the health workers tell, uh, and always a holistic approach is better than blindly following one system of medicine. Every time, the best way is to follow a holistic method. And whatever problem you have to consult a doctor or Ayurvedic doctor. If possible, in every cities we have that particular Ayurveda agencies or branches are there. So if any inquiries, then you can go there or just give a call to them or mail to them, or you can visit any doctor, any qualified Ayurvedic doctors. That is very important. See, there are many quacks working in this field, especially in the name of Ayurveda. Many quacks are working. So identify the real doctors, real qualified doctors. Go and meet them. You clarify your doubts with them, and they will always be happy to help you. And as far as possible, after discuss about the Panchakarma, try to do some simple Shodhana Prakriya, like Ritu Shodhana, some easy Shodhana Prakriya, and try to have some Ayurvedic medicines also, along with the balanced diet. The diet should always be balanced. In every meal, during every meal, it should be balanced. And balanced meal means you have to have a lot of vegetables, either in the raw form or curry form, or in the upiri form, we call it upiri. Then fresh fruits in a moderate quantity. Reduce quantity of meat. Then avoid alcohol, smoking, and try to be peaceful. Try to maintain your mental wellness also. And that is equally important as maintaining the physical well-being. So everyone will be safe, and hope everyone will be safe. Stay safe, and thank you so much for conducting this webinar once again.
Thank you, Doctor. That brings us to the end of the webinar. I thank each one of the panelists, Dr. P.M. Madhu, Dr. Nishant Narayan, Dr. Vinod R. Warrior, for elaborating on how Ayurveda could help in building immunity. I hope this was a beneficial session for our participants. Thank you all for taking part in the webinar. Thank you again.
Thank you, Serena.